Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa kafa wa salatu wa salamu ala sayyidil rusuli wa khatamil anbiya'i Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد كلما ذكره الذاكرون وصل على سيدنا محمد كلما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون. Alhamdulillah, coming back to schedule after 5-6 weeks, mashallah. Subhanallah. So usually what happens, the Friday which falls after the Eid is off. So luckily this time around you got 2 days, 2 weeks off, because the Eid was upon Friday. Alhamdulillah, it has been the schedule for years now that the Friday after Eid is also off. So we don't have a halaqah then. Last week, mashallah, I got a few messages and some calls whether we were having the halaqah today or not. And subhanAllah, the timing couldn't be more right, because they called me right before Maghrib, are you coming for halaqah tonight? I'm thinking, okay, what halaqah? I haven't made any preparation. So alhamdulillah, hopefully all of us had a good spiritual Ramadan. Before the month of Ramadan we were speaking of, who are you speaking about? Uthman radiyallahu ta'ala an. Do any one of you remember some of the fada'il of Uthman radiyallahu an? My sisters. He was Ghani, mashallah. What does Ghani mean? Mashallah, rich. Alhamdulillah. What about my brothers? Anything else that you remember about his fada'il?
He was promised Jannah.
He was promised Jannah. Subhanallah, he married 2 of the daughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, thus he became known as the Nurain, the host of the 2 lights. What was his character like? His personality? He was shy, mashallah. He was shy. What's the famous hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam about Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, when he was seated with a portion of his shin showing? Abu Bakr radiallahu anh walked in, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam remained the way he was. Umar radiallahu anh walked in, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam remained the way he was. At the time of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, before admitting him to come in, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned, hold on a minute, give me some time to fix myself. And he lowered his garment and he covered his shin. So the people around who were curious, they asked, I believe it was Aisha radiallahu anha, who asked, O Prophet of Allah, when Abu Bakr came in, Umar radiallahu anhuma, they came in, you did not do anything. At the time of Uthman, you covered yourself entirely. What did he mention at that time?
How can I not be shy in front of the person who the angels are shy?
Subhanallah. How can I not be shy of the one whom the angels are shy from? This was regarding the haya of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And mashallah, he was very charitable. Very charitable. He had given a lot in the path of Allah to the poor and the needy. He spent a lot in the path of Allah as well. You remember that brief story when he asked the merchants or the businessmen of Medina to, go up their price for the price that someone else was offering him for the food that he wanted to sell. By 10 times or plus, and then the merchants, the businessman mentioned, who are you dealing with? Who is willing to give you so much return? He mentioned Allah. Allah is willing to give me that much return. He gave it all for free. Subhanallah, we can speak much about sadaqah, but moving along with the story of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, how he served the people during his khilafah. Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, during his time, he knew that the time for trials and tribulations is to overcome him. He understood that because there were many indications, upon many occasions Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had directly told Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an to remain patient. And he informed Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an through other means indirectly as well as what will befall him. Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an knew that the wheel of trials and tribulations will start to turn in his era. But he wanted to make sure that it doesn't move entirely. So therefore he would respond to it with tolerance and leniency. He knew this. And he hoped for the reward from Allah. A few points to keep in mind regarding fitna. What's the meaning of fitna? Okay, an argument, a trial, a tribulation, a test. So in today's khutbah mentioned, إِنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ فِتْنَةً. For verily your wealth and your children are fitna. They are a test for us. What we do with our wealth, how we raise up our children and so and so. And Allah mentions something about fitna within the Quran. And the details He's provided. وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَكْبَرُ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ. Another portion, وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَشَدُّ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ. That fitna in itself is greater than murder. Fitna, these trials themselves, this mischief, it's far more severe in the sight of Allah than even murder. And subhanallah, the Mufassirin have mentioned much, that truly a fitna, when it arises, it engulfs the masses around it. Whereas a murder is a one-to-one. If a person goes and kills somebody, that is murder. But when there's mischief caused within a circle, within the public, within the masses, what the individual or the individuals causing the mischief, what they are doing, they're bringing down an entire community. They're bringing down and they're really putting, the people, the citizens of this area upon destruction. And that's the ultimate result of fitna. That's how it happens, that's how it starts. And Allah mentions, وَالْفِتْنَةُ, this fitna in itself is greater than qatl, killing. When the Islamic Empire, it grew so big in the time of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, because it had already made its advance in the time of Umar radiallahu ta'ala. Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, to inherit the successorship of Khilafah from Umar radiallahu ta'ala, it grew further. When it had become so vast upon the globe of Allah, and time had passed, the beats of Jahiliyyah started to come out again. It started to beat again. The pulse of Jahiliyyah. What happens when our elders, seemingly they're very strict about certain issues. Seemingly they're very strict about certain issues. Why I'm choosing the word seemingly is because many times we don't understand the wisdom behind their strictness. Why do they take a certain stance on certain issue? Why? Until we ourselves grow up and then come to realize, okay, you know what, my dad was right all along. So in the time, senior Sahaba had become old, and many of the Sahaba had passed away. Now we have a change of generation and another generation. And when all of this is happening before the Sahaba, some of the youngsters had arisen and they had differences with their elders. They noticed that, the golden age was then. Now it's our time. And likewise, the thoughts of arrogance and ignorance started to rise again. Many people started to think, what is this of giving authority to only to the Quraysh or only to the Ansar and the Muhajirin? Why is it that the people of the helpers who initially helped Rasulullah ﷺ at the time of migration, why are they still given preference up until today? We're also human beings. Why isn't that authority assigned to us? Why aren't we given leadership? Why aren't we given a task to overlook the affairs of the people? Some people start to have this difference, that why is it that only certain senior Sahaba are upon that, limelight, or are given that focus and attention. We deserve it as well. On the other hand, you had people causing, stirring fitna amongst the masses against the governors of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, as well as Uthman radiallahu an himself. The mastermind behind all of this was a man by the name of Abdullah ibn Saba'a, who was a Jewish man. Later he pretended to embrace Islam and went around into the communities of the Muslims, not just within Medina, but in Kufa, in Basra, in Sham, in Egypt. He went around building momentum and support for himself and his cause. What was his support and cause? First and foremost, to cause a riot, to cause, stir a fitna, to have the people doubt themselves as to how Uthman, who is the current Khalifa, how is he running the affairs of the Muslim world. And remember, the enemy within is far greater than the enemy outside your borders. You don't need an enemy from the outside to destroy you. A person from within is enough. That is why fitna is greater than murder itself. And that is what the people during the time of Uthman radiallahu anh, the mischiefs, causers, those who were spreading mischief, were doing exactly just that. When they knew that the empire had grown so big, the dark forces, one can say, focused within the inside structure of the Muslim Khilafah. And that's how they started to take support from the youngsters, started to take support from those who had some differences with Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, or the way he was governing the people, or the governors that he had appointed. Who would be the governors? Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an would obviously give preference to the Sahaba who spent time with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He knew that if I appoint, for example, a certain companion of Prophet of Allah, he is more God-fearing, more God-conscious about how he would serve the people that I allow him to serve. He would be more mindful. So therefore, I will obviously appoint this person over this land. I would appoint this person over this area. I would appoint this person over this area. So that's why he gave that preference. And then for a person who has never seen Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how could he be appointed over those who have? So small differences started to rise, and this thing within the heart and mind, it built up because of the mischief of Abdullah ibn Saba'a. When this happened, his first claim and his propaganda, one can say, was that he went to the people, especially to the people who were the supporters of Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And he mentioned to them that, look, Prophet of Allah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had always wanted Ali radiallahu anhu to successorship after himself. He wanted Ali radiallahu ta'ala to succeed. But then you had other people come forth. And now it is the time for you to stand up and demand for your rights. Subhanallah, that sounds so similar. We hear this slogan across the globe nowadays. Stand up for your rights. And what happens at the end of the day? The poor, the weak, those who are on the streets take the biggest blow. Those who are out on the streets demanding for rights take the hardest hit. So you really need to think about what's really happening before you become a part of something. So that's what this individual did. He said, you need to stand up, demand, raise your voice. Because Uthman has usurped that right from Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Come and take it from him. Uthman, he has appointed the governors that he has appointed across different cities. They have erred. They do not rule over the people justly. They do not rule as they are to rule over the people. You can do a better job than that. So this is what more or less Abdullah ibn Saba'a, that's how he started in building some support and momentum for himself and for the mischief that he was about to cause. When the news reached Medina, Uthman radiallahu ta'ala was within Medina. The news reached Medina about these rumors, this gossip that is widespread about the governors of Uthman, that they have erred, they no longer rule justly, and they oppress and so and so. And Uthman radiallahu ta'ala has also become a point of excessive criticism. When this reached Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, he gathered the senior Sahaba, and he requested the people around him that, what is it that I hear? I'm hearing, these rumors about the governors that I've appointed, that they're not doing their job right, they're not performing right. What should I do? Advise me, since you're my advisors. So the senior Sahaba mentioned, Amir al-Mu'mineen, you should send out people to investigate what is the root cause behind this issue. So Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, he, separated a few of the individuals and assigned them that you go to Egypt, you go to Sham, you go to Kufa, you go to Basra, find out what's happening. Why are the people complaining about my governors? And come back and report to me. So all of the messengers, all of the ambassadors of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, when they went, they came back with positive news that, we went. Nothing of this nature. Your governors are ruling the way they are supposed to be by the book of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. There's nothing amiss. There's nothing to worry. Ammar ibn Yasir radiallahu ta'ala an, who was sent to Egypt, did not make it back on time. He was held more or less by the supporters of Abdullah ibn Saba'a. So he was, met with the followers of Abdullah ibn Sabah as he was going to Egypt. And before arriving in Egypt, the people had held him and started to overload him with the complaints of the governor of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala. He did not make it back on time. So Uthman radiallahu ta'ala became concerned until Uthman radiallahu ta'ala felt that it's appropriate for me to make this public and tell the people that every year during the occasion of Hajj, I call my governors and I take them to task. I take them to accountability for anything that may have happened. And likewise, I would like for all of the citizens to come to me on that day as well, especially those who have a complaint against my governors or me. Come before me, file an official complaint, talk to me, and I will resolve it. And if I happen to have made a mistake, forgive me, for surely those who forgive, Allah forgives them. So he made this open announcement that any person who really has a complaint to file or to complain about, come and speak to me. And truly this is a beautiful way of, even nowadays, that within a community, if there is gossip, if there is rumor which is spread, you find you cannot get to the root of it, go to the person that you are hearing the rumor about. And you'll save time, you'll save your brain cells of constantly thinking around the clock, why, how could this be? What else could be happening? SubhanAllah, we have gossip mongers in every era, in every community. Shaitan is always there, poking people. Go and find out what's really happening. Go investigate. Oh, by the way, did you hear? He said that, she said this, he did that, she said that, she did that. So it just never ends. When you feel that there's a false rumor within the community or within your household, take it to the source. If someone is speaking ill of me, and I hear that there's a rumor about me, it is my duty to find and trace the root cause or the point of initiation where that rumor has come from and deal with it. Why do the masses get involved? Deal with it one-on-one and resolve the matter. That's what Uthman radiallahu ta'ala did. If anyone has a complaint about my governors or me, come and speak to me upon the occasion of Hajj. This was that open announcement Uthman radiallahu ta'ala had made. When Uthman radiallahu ta'ala had gathered all of his governors, he asked them that this is what's happening. Is this true or not? The governors mentioned, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Allah is our witness. This is nothing but false rumors. And it's not appropriate for you to really hold us to task upon rumors themselves. You need solid evidence to really hold us accountable. Just because of a rumor or a gossip, we're not guilty of it. So this was Uthman radiallahu ta'ala speaking to his governors. And the governors mentioned, look, listen, this is not reality. This is not what's happening on the ground. Uthman radiallahu ta'ala mentioned, the reason why I'm asking, because truly if there is something amiss, then I'm held responsible as the leader of the believers. Therefore that is why I am asking. So you tell me, how should I respond to these rumors? Every governor of each city had his own opinion how Uthman radiallahu ta'ala should address the issue. One mentioned you should engage the people in further battles that you're battling across your borders, so they keep busy. They don't have time to look into this frivolous small talk, the gossip and rumors. They'll fade away. Another mention, he mentioned, Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala, who was the governor of Sham, he mentioned, you should let the governors deal with it. The governor of each city, let him deal with what's happening. If there are such rumors, he should summon the people who are spreading those rumors. So let the governors themselves deal with it. Another governor, he mentioned, you have become too soft. Meaning, you have become too soft and you're too satisfied with the state of your people. You need to be like Umar radiallahu an. Be firm when you need to be firm. Be soft when you need to be soft. This is the stance you need to take. If you let people loose and you allow them to spread these rumors, great danger awaits. You need to really go into its roots. If there is something at fault, deal with it. If not, then deal with it as well. You cannot let these people run loose and cause havoc, spreading mischief and fitna and gossip around, and you do nothing about it. You really need to deal with it. Someone mentioned, you need to deal with their leaders. And once the leaders are destroyed, the followers will scatter. End of story. So Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, he mentioned, to his governors, he said, I've heard from what you had for what you had to say. The matter, now this is what Uthman radiallahu ta'ala is mentioning because he knew something is going to happen because of many of the narrations of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet of Allah had prophesied about Uthman and even told Uthman radiallahu ta'ala. Uthman radiallahu mentions, the matter that we fear will certainly fall upon the Muslim community. It will certainly fall. And the door which is, shut will open. To me, what matters the most is I do not want the wheel of misfortune to spin or to come into movement during my lifetime. If, Uthman, if you die while the wheel of fitna does not move, then you've succeeded. How blessed are you? But if it all happens, then Allah is my witness that I had no part in that. And he mentions, be lenient, be soft with your people, advise them of the truth, and be strict when it comes to the injunctions of Allah. When a matter of Allah is involved, then be strict about it. Otherwise, give the people their due, calm them, and continue to live the way you are living. Usman radiallahu ta'ala, he mentions this much, and he says, advises his governors to display leniency and tolerance, and let it be. He leaves. When he left, Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala accompanied Uthman radiallahu ta'ala up until Medina. The other governors had already gone towards their respective cities. Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala, once he arrives in Medina, he addresses some of the senior Sahaba like Ali radiallahu ta'ala, Talha radiallahu ta'ala, and some of the other Sahaba, and says, look, listen, leadership is something that everyone desires. And some of you may desire it as well. Understand this leadership was appointed to Uthman with utmost truth and so and so. I advise you that you take care of him as he's grown old. Uthman had become old. His beard, he would dye his beard a certain color. He had really become old by that age. I'll mention to you how old he was when he passed away in the next session, inshallah. So Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, as he's there, he's present. Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala is mentioning, he's become old, help him, assist him. For if you do that, then that's the most fortunate thing that will befall you. Continue to help him and assist him. Uthman radiallahu ta'ala even went to a point of mentioning to the Sahaba that if this khilafah is what is causing this fitna, then you can have it back. I won't take any part in it. To the people, to the Sahaba, to the senior companions, not to anyone else. To the senior companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he mentioned this much, Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala mentioned this much, and he left. Now comes the point where things really kind of get out of hand and out of control. The plans of the dark forces come into place. They come into motion. The people, those who had rebelled against Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, the hypocrites, one can say, those who had ill intention for Uthman radiallahu ta'ala from the beginning, what they did, they started to send letters to their supporters outside of Medina. The people themselves, the rebels, are inside Medina, but their identities are not known. So they start to send letters to Kufa, to Basra, to other places, to Egypt, that come. It's time that you come and support us, for we are waging jihad against Uthman. We're going to wage this battle against Uthman, so come. Now you have roughly 500 people or so from Kufa, 500 from Basra, and 500 or so from Egypt all leave their homeland in the month of Shawwal as Hujjaj, as the people who are going to Mecca to perform Hajj. Now, it's clever of them to do that, to go in such a large number, in an army style. But if someone was to ask, no, we're just going for Hajj in Shawwal, because 2 more months in, a month or so, you're in the month of Hajj. So this is the plot they made. So they leave in huge numbers. Their ultimate goal is to get to Medina and deal with Uthman radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Now when this army or these armies, they leave their land, they come close to Medina, a 3-day journey from Medina. They station there, they come across one another, and they decide that, look, listen, we need to have a plan as to what we are going to do. Who are we going to appoint after Uthman? Okay, we deal with Uthman radiallahu anhu. Who will we appoint after Uthman? The people of Kufa, they mentioned we're going to appoint Talha ibn Ubaidullah radiallahu anhu. The people of Basra mentioned, no, we will choose Zubayr ibn al-Awwam radiallahu anhu. The people of Egypt said, no, we'll choose Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu as the next caliph. Now, delegations were sent to all of these individuals, to Talha radiallahu anhu, to Zubayr radiallahu anhu, and to Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu in Medina. That, look, listen, we have come here, a small group of people, and we'd like for you to become the next Khalifa. Now when this thought reached Ali radiallahu ta'ala, so as this group of people came to Ali radiallahu ta'ala with their motives, with their intentions, and they addressed their concerns in front of Ali radiallahu ta'ala, Ali radiallahu ta'ala got angry. And he asked them, he drove them away. And then he said something. He said that the people who are righteous, they know that you are the people who are cursed by Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. You are cursed by Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Go away. The people who went to Talha and Zubayr, they said the same thing what Ali radiallahu ta'ala had to say to that small delegation. And they drove them away. Now seemingly, the people left. But what happened in reality, they came back to their greater numbers and they said, look, listen, it's about time that we go and strike. We go and lay a siege upon Medina. They return only after when the people of Medina, Ali radiallahu ta'ala, the other Sahaba, they go back to their daily livelihood, their daily tasks, and all of a sudden they hear a loud takbir, Allahu Akbar. And an announcement is made by these, this group of rebels that they mention, they surround the house of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala and so they say, whoever refrains from fighting shall remain safe. They say this much. And they surround the house of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala. You have the people of Medina who were shocked and puzzled. What happened? What just happened? We knew a group of people had come, but then they left. How did they come back with such a great number? Where did we go wrong? Where did they come from? They were taken by surprise. And as they're wondering as to what happened, one of the Muslims by the name of Muhammad ibn Maslama, he comes to these groups, the Egyptians, the Kufiyin and the Basriyin, and he mentions to them that, why did you return? What is the reason of your return? And the people mentioned, now this is more or less this story goes by the alleged letter. Okay, the title of the story is the alleged letter. They mentioned we confiscated a letter which was written by Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, sent to his governor in Egypt, stating that he killed all of us, the Egyptians. He killed all of us. And we confiscated this letter. Muhammad ibn Maslama is puzzled himself. What are they saying? They confiscated a letter of Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an, which has within it a serious statement that, this is to the governor of Egypt. I want, as the Amir al-Mu'minin, I want you to kill the people of, the group of people from Egypt. What's happening? He said, something isn't right. So Muhammad ibn Maslama, he went and spoke to the people of Kufa. What about you? Why are you here? People of Kufa mentioned, we're here to support our brothers from Egypt, from Misr. What are the people of Basra doing here? We're also here to support our brothers. We feel that what the Khalifa is about to do is wrong, is oppression, so we're here to support them. So Muhammad ibn Maslam, he brings out a beautiful point. He says, how is it possible for all three of you to come to know about this letter all at once when you live far apart from each other? Kufa is somewhere else on the map, Basra is somewhere else on the map, Egypt is somewhere else on the map. For you to come together under one banner so quickly, so readily, so prepared, all at once, how did you come to know about this letter? I feel and I sense undoubtedly this is a plot. You people plotted something way before. What letter are you talking about?
Email.
You know, subhanallah. So then, the letter was presented before Uthman radiallahu ta'ala. There was a letter there. And the people, the rebels presented this and they said, oh Uthman, this is the letter that we received. And it was taken and given to Uthman radiallahu ta'ala an. And they said, do you know about this letter? Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, he mentions, by Allah, I did not write this. I did not write it. I did not ask anyone else to write it on my behalf. Neither do I have any knowledge of it. I know nothing about this. So Ali radiallahu ta'ala and some of the other Sahaba were there as well. They said, oh Uthman, Amir al-Mu'minin, you've spoken the truth. And the Egyptians then go on to say that, then who wrote it? Who is the person who wrote this letter? Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, he mentions, I don't know. I honestly don't know. They said, is it possible now, think about this again, subhanallah, from the beginning of time, وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهُ وَمَكَرُوا مَكَرًا وَمَكَرًا. You know, people, the dark forces plan and plot. Allah also plans and plots. People always have this planning of bringing somehow some loss to Islam, to its followers. Allah also plans. Wallahu khairul makirin. So the next response to the response of Uthman when he said, I don't know. So the rebels mentioned, you don't know. How is it possible that someone overpowers you? Someone overpowers you and he sends one of your attendants. All of this was fabricated. Nothing was true except for the letter which was there. How is it possible for someone to overpower you, to send one of your own attendants to deliver this message to your governor? On top of that, the seal of yours, you know, your official seal is printed upon that letter as well. And then on top of that, there were a few camels of zakah that were aiding this, you know, this letter that will go to Egypt. How is that all possible? To us, no, we don't think this is a lie. So Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, he mentions, I still don't have any knowledge of it. I am free from all of these accusations that you're pointing towards me, that you're blaming me. I have no knowledge of it. They said, you're either speaking the truth or you're lying. Now, subhanAllah, hear this well, huh? You're either telling the truth or you're lying. We have two scenarios. One, either you're speaking the truth or you're lying. If you are lying, then you do not deserve this position of being the Khalifa. If you are lying, you don't deserve to be the Caliph of the Muslimin. If you are speaking the truth, you still don't deserve to be the Khalifa. How can you allow for such a great task to slip your side? To let it happen underneath your supervision? To let it happen underneath your leadership? How can you allow for a letter to be forged, to be fabricated, to be made, and then sealed, and then these camels to accompany it? It's too big of a mistake. We cannot accept you as our Khalifa. Whether you speak the truth or you may have lied, it doesn't matter. We're not going to accept you. We're not going to take you as our Caliph. Subhanallah. Either way, whatever Uthman radiallahu ta'ala would say, it wouldn't matter. So they said, you need to resign. You need to resign. I'll end with this statement for the today's session. Uthman radiallahu ta'ala, he mentioned his response, I will not remove the shirt which Allah made me wear. I will not remove the shirt which Allah allowed for me to wear. What that shirt is, we'll speak about it in the next session. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us right understanding of His deen.